Hi, I'm Tony Cook, the director of Live Aid Liverpool, which is taking place at the Adelphi Hotel on Sunday, the 16th of April, in aid of Alder Children's Charity and Shelter Merseyside. I'm here at the Podcafe, the wonderful Podcafe in the heart of Liverpool, where I'm joined by the fantastic Soul Jam, one of the artists who are going to be performing at the event. Hello, guys.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
I'm good, yeah. Yourselves?
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Dressed for the occasion.
Yeah, keeping busy.
Working later, hence we dress like this.
Yeah. Well, you are busy. I think you're one of the most popular acts on Merseyside at the moment. Testament to how good you are, you know.
Thank you, mate.
You know, how many gigs do you do a week?
A minimum of 5. I'm getting on now, so you know what I mean? It's like 5 does me. I like to have a couple of days off, but the past couple of weeks have been relentless, to be honest. I think we've had a Wednesday off in the past few weeks. Yeah. So, but while it's there, you know, we're blessed to be able to work in town quite a bit. Have a few great residencies, and the same people come to say hello and see us, you know, on these nights. So we're enjoying it still, which is good.
Good. I know you do a lot of work for charity. I know in our industry you are limited to how many gigs you do for charity, because we all have to earn a living. Yeah. What made this project, Live Aid Liverpool, and the original Band Aid Liverpool project, why did you sort of agree to get on board? And what is essentially a new family, really, isn't it? Mm-hmm.
Well, it is. You've hit the nail on the head. It's always wonderful to work with other acts, and I think you know yourself. Very often when you're gigging all the time, you don't really get out and see other acts or work with other acts, or you know these people because you know you're kind of on the same Facebook pages and everything else, and you kind of know them from how you're doing and a little bit of a wave. But it gave us the opportunity to meet some more people, make some more friends. You know what I mean? And see some fantastic acts. That two days I thought was exceptional. It was great. It was so well organised, and it was just a real joy to be involved with and to be asked to do it. And alongside that, of course, was I thought the song, you know, the single that you did, you know, you and Brian got everyone together, which was a feat in itself. But I think it really stood out. You know, I think it was so well done. I think it highlighted the charity so well, but some of the shots, you know what I mean, of the street homelessness in the city, you know, really sort of kicked that home that it's a massive issue. It's a real problem, you know what I mean?
We've all had something to do with Alder Hay and with having children and stuff, and
definitely
you.
Lots of grandkids, you know.
Yeah.
And if you can't support your local children's hospital, I mean, you know, come on, there's something wrong somewhere. So it was an absolute pleasure to get involved. You know, it's only our time at the end of the day, and we enjoy what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, going back to the Band Aid project as well, when I was like looking at the acts that I wanted to get involved, I was going around the city, and obviously that was the first time I really got a chance to see you guys live, because I'm always on tour myself. But I've always wanted to see you guys, and when I went to see you, I thought, these guys are a no-brainer. I want them. I want these guys on, you know, even though it was in lockdown, you know, you see videos and things like that, but there was a little window of opportunity to go out and see some of the bands when the lockdown was like lifted for a little bit. Yeah. And but I just thought, and then trying to choose which part of the song would be perfect for you guys, you know what I mean? It was like a jigsaw, you know what I mean? And then obviously subsequently after the Band Aid single as well, coming up with the Live Aid thing, you know, having you guys on again, you know, it's just great, you know.
It's an honour, mate. No,
it is an honour.
It's an absolute honour.
Yeah,
really.
Of all the acts in Liverpool, we're proud to be part of it, you know.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much.
Yeah, what do the charities actually mean to you? I mean, Shelter and Alder Hay.
Okay, well, Alder Hay for me, that they saved my daughter's life. Courtney, she was 4-year-old and she had an obstructive airway, so she went into A&E, and we stayed in Ronald McDonald House, which is another great charity, you know. And she was in like what did they call it, an induced coma for about 2 weeks, and it saved her life. I couldn't fault them, you know. Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. So, yeah.
How many years ago was that, Jay?
16.
Yeah. Wow. And because we adopted my daughters, you know, and we didn't know she had all this, so it was all, but faultless.
Yeah. I know she's raised a lot of money for her own charities as well, hasn't she?
Yeah. She raised money for Clare House, you know. She used to go there, but she doesn't now. But yeah.
Well.
But yeah, so Alder Hay for me and Jay.
Oh, same. I mean, I've got, you know, when my children were small, you know, they were always in and out of Alderhay from minor stuff to stuff that, pneumonia for one. One of my kids had pneumonia, and fortunately, Alderhay sorted it out, And it's just, they are angels, you know what I mean? The nurses are angels, and in light of what's going on at the moment, any support that you can give them, whether it be through charity or whether it be through, sort of raising your voice, putting your head above a pulpit and saying, look, they're not getting what they deserve and what they need, So yeah, I mean, anything you can do to highlight how good they are, I just think is a wonderful thing,
Yeah. I mean, I think for Shelter as well. I mean, the reason why I chose Shelter as the other charity at the beginning was because of the, in our industry, the amount of artists that were, I always say, caught out by the pandemic. There was no support or hardly any support for our industry, for artists. So, and then, I walked into the city centre seeing there was no homeless on the streets, and I was thinking, where are they getting the support? So that's why I chose that for.
I mean, I was. I feel like I'm probably talking a little bit too much, but I was a homeless caseworker for many years for the local authority, and I dealt with family homelessness at source. So it's kind of on the day homelessness a family would present, saying they've got no accommodation now for whatever reason that might have been. It could have been an eviction from a landlord, sometimes a legal eviction. A lot of the time, victims of domestic violence and issues related to a partner, and of course we'd have to find them temporary accommodation, and then stay with that family and support them through a rehousing process. And I mean, some of the things you see are heartbreaking, and some of these families come from a background of, they've got sort of social issues. A lot of them were sort of alcohol abusers and drug abusers, etc., and they were struggling with all of that. So it was a pleasure to kind of be involved and just link them to the right people, because obviously when you're housing them, you don't want the cycle to happen again. A lot of it's a process of education and just ensuring that they're within the right network to get the support that they need so they can hold down accommodation that they're in. But sadly, you still see the revolving door with some of these families who sadly really couldn't help themselves. Now, the beauty of the likes of Shelter, they do all that as well, They support them a lot more than we had an opportunity to. It's a fantastic charity, it really is.
Yeah, cool. So, going back to the beginning of Soul Jam, how did it all start? Where did you guys meet?
I met him when I was about 17, and I was in like a college band.
That's 5-6 years ago.
Shut up. And we were auditioning. It was like a battle of the bands at Mount Hall. Is it Mount Hall?
Mountford
Hall.
Yeah.
So being 17, I'm like, and when we arrived, there's this band on stage. The lead singer looked like something from Miami Vice with his pastel blazer, sleeves turned up and this big quiff.
That was.
And the band was like a big brass section there, and they were just playing this soul music, and this person was bouncing all over the stage, and and I was just like, why are we even here? Hey, he's going to win it. So it turns out we had mutual friends, so we just couldn't avoid each other.
Yeah.
Just kept bumping into each
we were
other.
in a play together, weren't we, as well?
We were in a play with mutual friends directing, and then you were singing your solo stuff, and you used to get me to back and vocals for free. I do remember that.
Just cheap.
Just free. Not even a pint. Just
and
like,
even for half a lager.
Thanks very much, Joe.
So I used to write quite a lot of music as well. I mean, I've been in various bands for years, and I used to get Joe to, if I wrote a song for a female singer, it was always Joe I'd call on. Joe's got a brilliant voice,
It's been nice to me. What's the matter?
You're just getting one.
Your bonbons.
And it kind of happened because I was struggling with a thing called vocal cord dysfunction. It took them a couple of years to decide what was going on with me, because my vocal cords would literally close shut when they should be open. And it became a psychological thing. Couldn't get any air in when I was live on stage trying to sing. So I was missing out sentences just to try and get that breath, And I was always getting that sensation, can't breathe and panic. And the more you panic, the worse it got. And when they finally found out what it was, of course, I decided I needed to hide behind someone. So I asked Joe and a guy called Neil, who we were working with, who had like a studio set up, and he was a great guitar player, and he's perfect pitch sort of on harmonies and stuff. So they both agreed to do it. So I said, if I put a load of songs together, let's choose Motown and soul, because you're hitting about 80% of the audience straight away. I mean, you know, I don't think I've ever spoke to anyone that doesn't really enjoy soul and Motown.
Especially in Liverpool as well. You know?
But it gave me a chance, really. If Joe was going to share a lot of the vocals, it gave me a chance to sort of back off and try and get myself, heal myself, if you know what I mean. Of course, within 6 months, I was right as rain again, and things just took off quite quickly. I was really surprised how quickly it did take off. And then we were blessed, of course. Neil left after, several years, wasn't it? And then there was only one fella I wanted to approach, and that was James Franklin. And I'd known James for years again. Our paths had crossed through various things. And I just asked him one day, you know, I think it was a phone call, wasn't it, James?
He phoned me up and said, can you cover a gig for us on the Wirral? I said, yeah, I'm free that night. So we were talking about half an hour, and he just out of the blue, he went, do you fancy joining Soldier? And I went, yeah. And I heard nothing. That was before Christmas, and then about March, Neil had left the band, and that's when the guys approached me. And my first gig was Bank Holiday Monday in Nelly Foley's with Chocker, and everyone's, come on then.
Entertain us.
No pressure.
And,
I've never seen a man so nervous in my life.
All eyes were just on, and that was it, you know. And I was only part-time because I was doing my own thing, but during the pandemic, we were lucky enough to get a few gigs here and there, and we went out for a pint one day, and we were all had a Scotch egg and a hot dog, and as you had to have, didn't you? You had to buy food. And
substantial meal.
Substantial. I think you had a Scotch egg.
Substantial meals, remember that?
I had a hot dog.
Joe ate half of it.
And they just said, look, we want you full time. And I said, well, do you know what? I'm 33 now. I don't want to be travelling.
You slept a few years.
Don't want to be travelling. And I said, yeah. So I had a chat with my wife. She said, do what you want to do. You know, because we still didn't know whether we were going to get back to work properly, did we?
No.
So I said, you know what, okay. Family comes first. And it's great because these two are the best people to work with. Honestly, there's no egos in Soul Jam, and I love that.
Yeah.
We don't take ourselves seriously. And
except I'm the best.
Jay is the best, but he pays us more money to do that. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He's also the best looking fella in Liverpool. Says here.
Well, in this room anyway.
In this room.
I wouldn't even go that far.
Yeah, but no, so it was a no-brainer for me, and they're my best mates.
Yeah.
You know, and I love work and the harmonies. And Joe is probably the best female vocalist in the UK.
I wouldn't argue with that.
Definitely had something's going on here. What are you after?
You're the one who's brought the purse out today, and we haven't eaten. So when we finish today, we're going for some food. And I know.
She goes, oh, I forgot my purse.
I've only done that a couple of times.
About 15. Yeah. That's just this year.
I mean, one of the things that it struck me when I first seen you guys, I mean, as I say, in our industry and what I do, I mean, the band wears like a uniform, so I think a big thing about the strength of your act is your image on stage, like you are today, like you've come obviously ready for a gig later on, but I think a lot of people identify professionalism with you guys when you're on stage, not just obviously your vocals and your harmonies and everything is fantastic, but your image, it sort of puts an exclamation mark next to your name in a way, you know. You know, shows your professionalism, you know, and for me, one of the best acts on Merseyside in a long time, to be honest.
Well, it's always nice to hear from, you know, the musicians when things like that are said, you know, and you see it, you know, you toured for a long, long time. And it's about the package, isn't it? It's not about standing on stage and singing some songs. You know, you've got to make the effort to entertain your audience and involve the audience as much as you can, you know. Yeah. And we try to do that, you know, we really try to do that. I mean, the image thing, even when we were going into town, you know what I mean, you're playing some pubs and you think, well, jeans and t-shirt. It's like, no, still make the effort, you know.
Definitely.
And I've always been fascinated with the sort of early, you know, the early 1900s Victorian sort of days, where those guys would wear three-piece suits, you know, lace-up boots and a flat cap. You know, I just always liked that image. And of course, the Peaky Blinders thing kind of happened. And I'm always kind of proud to say, well, Our Image was before that even
that
come out.
sort of hit
So
the,
yeah,
the
I'm pleased
heights,
with that, because we weren't, we certainly weren't.
The producer must have been in Smokies one night, so
Yeah, he's probably seen us in there.
I think I'd like to play about that.
Yeah.
Or in their leaves or something.
Well, did you know Garrison Street on Peaky Blinders is actually in Liverpool 8?
know that?
Yeah, off the Welsh Street up there, yeah. So that's where. So the most famous street in Birmingham is actually in Liverpool.
Wow.
Think about that.
Well, I didn't know that.
So your influences, Joe, I'll start with you. Sort of who got you? Sort of who influenced you? You know, a big inspiration and.
Probably, I'd have to say Prince. I've got to include the man there. I was introduced to him, I was about 16, 17, and I was floored at the rudeness of some of the lyrics and the innuendos, and but most of all his voice, and researching him, realising he played every instrument and produced his own stuff. And I'd missed that. I'd caught up like 20 years later. Female vocalists, Shaka Khan, probably her, definitely Aretha Franklin. She just used to make me cry, her voice, especially on the ballad stuff. And of course Gladys for that kind of croakiness and the emotion. I just love, I was into house music. I used to go to Cream nightclub every chance I got.
I found that astonishing.
I know you do, but
I'm so far
I
away
was
from it.
just
Black
like,
box ride on time,
yeah,
all that, was it?
Fall to the floor, giving him all that. And I used to dance till like 5 a.m. till he chucked everyone out. And I'd have like a couple of bottles of beer. I wasn't into, you know, the other substances. And it didn't even occur to me that was around me. I just thought everyone was enjoying the music like me, jumping up and down and getting a sweat on, you know, and that was a great night out for me. So, but it had to be like the house anthems and the DJ, their style and how they put the voice first, and it'd be on the tail end of another song, and I'd go, I know what's coming. It's this one. It's, you know, because of the vocal they put out first. Just used to
Grab you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a bit of a clubby.
Good old days.
How about you, James?
Well, my biggest influence was Russ Abbott.
Okay. It's a great atmosphere, isn't it?
I loved all of his hits.
I love Russ Abbott.
Yeah, it's just that the man was a pinnacle of sexiness. And I still fancy him to this day.
You would, wouldn't you? Yeah, he's beautiful.
It's just, no. Ray Charles for me too.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad had Ray Charles albums, and when I heard him singing, I thought, wow. And then obviously, you've got then Wilson Pickett, Otis Redding. But for me, one of the finest voices, Paul Carrick.
Oh yeah,
I love him to
Yeah,
bits.
he's a big
I
fan.
love Paul Carrick's voice, and I love his style. And Freddie Mercury.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's just voices if they're good. I like it.
And a showman.
And a showman, yeah, I like it.
We have got a tribute to Queen on.
Brilliant.
I noticed that, so
Yeah, so
Fantastic.
That'll do for me, mate.
Yeah. How about you, James? Anyway, Jay.
I was hugely influenced by 60s music. I was a massive Beatles fan. You know, I mean, most of us were. I mean, hence, so I'm obsessed with harmony and, you know, the way the voices work, really. And my auntie, Anne Maria, and God rest her soul, she passed quite recently. But she used to, my Uncle Barry, he used to have lots and lots of stuff on, you know, sort of the reels of, and she used to come down sort of to me nan's every weekend, and I'd just be waiting there, you know, because she'd bring me a tape that he'd recorded, and it was all the old gear from Hamburg, and it was all lots of Beatles stuff, lots of 60s stuff, you know, and massively influenced, and just listened to it constantly. And of course, the crossover from that is the rhythm and blues, and of course the soul and the Motown and the great voices that James has already mentioned. And one of my favourite singers, I just love the passion in his voice, and the attack in his voice was Levi Stubbs from the Four Tops.
Yeah.
You know, and still to this day, as soon as I heard him sing, you know, the hairs on the back of my neck. Sadly not on my head because I haven't got any. But so that was it really, mate. And I'm still massively influenced by 60s music. I love jangly guitars and I love harmony.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, but your most embarrassing moments on stage, or your funniest moments on stage, if you haven't got any embarrassing moments?
I embarrassed myself every gig, pretty much. I either nearly fall over or
You fell on your bum the other night.
That was your fault, that.
No.
In Smokey's window.
Fell over him, yeah. And the weird thing is, I was flirting with one of the taxi drivers outside because he kind of caught his eye, and I was like, you know, at the window, giving it all this. And the next minute, he must have just seen, you know, as I fall on the floor.
And then it was legs in the air, goes that way.
And
you know, no shame.
when you're 20, you can jump up, can't you? But when you're nearly 33, it takes a little bit longer. So I was so I did more damage getting up than I did falling, because I was just like, just get up.
But you laughed about it.
You're a good comedian.
You've got to laugh.
You've got to laugh about it.
Because everyone was like, oh no, she's all right.
I mean, I've done the usual stuff, you know, I've split my kecks, and I mean proper.
Yeah.
You know, not just a little gap. I mean, I'm talking about,
Full stitch.
you know, and in the end,
chaps.
you know, you're kind of singing on stage and you go, look, I'll get this out now. Second song in, you just go like that, look. That's what's happened, you know. Of course, they smile. You had a funny one the other week on stage.
I did, yeah. That was before Christmas, wasn't it?
And it must have been a song and a half before you could sing again.
I know. What it was, we hit the buffet.
No, you hit the buffet and Joe hit the
Okay,
buffet.
yeah, we
I'm
hit the
sensible,
buffet.
John. Don't
Yeah.
eat and sing.
And I had 2 pints of Guinness, and I had loads of rice. And singing, I actually vomited into my own mouth, but swallowed it, and I was choking. So the only thing I could do was turn around and try and get it out. And the DJ speakers were there, so it was all over the DJ speakers. Sorry, mate.
Oh, it was
Clean
unreal.
that up.
But he couldn't sing.
I couldn't talk. My throat closed up. I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
And they're all laughing, and everyone's just like, ah.
I had to jump on like a lead vocal, and it was probably one of his high numbers, you know. So I'm busting trying to get the notes out, and he's still choking for about
So that was embarrassing.
3 or 4
because
minutes.
I couldn't hide it.
Yeah. My most embarrassing one is actually recently, and very recently, just a few months ago, on stage in a theatre somewhere in the UK. And I'm behind, my keyboard is situated behind like a false false cover type of thing. Anyway, but my keyboard is underneath that no one can see.
Yeah.
It collapsed.
Oh, God.
The stand collapsed. So the keyboard's dropped on the floor in the middle of a song. I think it was I'm the Walrus or something. So it stops because all that song is all about me performing. And all the lads in the band are looking around. The audience is like looking around. You know when the world is staring at you, and I couldn't do a thing about it. And I just basically just lifted the keyboard up, put it on top of the cover, and then stand up. And everyone could then see what type of keyboard I was using. I wasn't using the Fender Rhodes. I was using whatever the do use, you know. But honestly, when the world wants to swallow you up, that is like an incredible moment. Do you have a message to everyone that has already bought tickets for Live Aid event, and also to those who are thinking about coming?
Don't delay.
Yeah.
Don't delay, because they're in for a feast of entertainment. Yeah. You know, as I say, there was one last year. Over 2 days. This is 1 day.
Yeah.
It's a 1 day thing. It's in a gorgeous space in the Adelphi. Absolutely gorgeous space. When we've sang there a number of times on certain functions. And the tickets will go. So just don't delay. Get yourself a ticket and just make the most of a wonderful day. For those who've already bought tickets, thanks ever so much, because it is going to such a wonderful cause. Yeah.
I mean, the PA is one of the best ones that you'll probably ever go through. It's right. A brilliant company, brilliant setup. The green room is going to be incredible as well. A lot bigger than the last one. A lot more goodies to munch on.
Go ahead.
No curry and rice though, James.
No,
never again.
Well, my son William will be providing you with the water as well. He's got a very special role to play on the day.
You will.
Brilliant.
Yeah. But I want to thank all three of you for coming in today. I just wish you well for the rest of the year, and I look forward to Live Aid Liverpool and seeing you guys perform on it. Tickets are still on sale. All the details are at the bottom of the screen, or you can scan the barcode, which is also on the screen. So once again, I want to thank Soul Jam, Joe, Jay and James.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Thanks,
See you
Tony.
soon.